Where else but New York City could there be a place where both Bob Dylan and Bill Cosby honed their skills before they became legends? It's the Bitter End, one of the last true rock clubs left in America.
Hey now, everybody. Here we come to the cream of the dead Oreo. I want to introduce our friend from Guest the Year podcast. This is the first Guest the Year podcast on the East Coast, baby. Let's give a big round of applause for Mike McClure.
How about Trouble Junction? And big thank you to Marty who put all this together, all his idea. Thank you, Marty. Okay, today we are going to experience Grateful Dead music exactly how Jerry Garcia intended, by listening to short clips and then declaring a winner and loser. A lot of people give me grief on the show because I never guess the year. So here I am, guessing years, one-on-one against one of the best years guessers in the country, if not the world, New Yorker staff writer Nick Paumgarten.
Seven to one. I want 8 to 1. I'm betting against myself.
Minus 700.
I don't know what those numbers mean.
Nick, what's your confidence level right now?
I'm gonna kick some ass here. Yeah, like my Eagles. I'm drinking the Yingling for my Eagles here. Boo! No, I have no idea. I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. I see an array of brilliant people here, and I think it could go any way. You know?
Yeah. Well, the only one who knows what year the tracks we're about to listen to are is two-time Tournament of Champions Guest of the Year winner, the winningest contestant in Guest of the Year history, Steve Urbauer.
Hi, Mike.
Steve, what was your, I asked Steve, who flew in from Omaha, Nebraska to be here tonight.
Omaha.
I asked him to put together 5 tracks, which me and Nick are going to guess one-on-one, no help from anyone else for me. And Steve's like, I can put it together, and I'll see you in New York on Sunday. So here he is. Thank you, Steve.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
So, when you were putting together the tracks, did you have any, basically, do you want to give us any clues?
No.
Without further ado, we're going to get him set up.
We're going to do this? Okay, so you can only see, just for the record, he only knows this by, number. I can vouch Mike has not seen any advance.
Thank you, Steve. So the way it's going to work is we're going to listen to the track, and then Nick's going to write down his answer. So no one shout anything out, actually the whole time, because there'll be a time when guests come up and chime in. But basically the entire club, all of New York, needs to wait for Nick to write down his answer, and then we can all just start discussing it.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Actually, Nick, do you mind? I know it's supposed to be one-on-one, but do you mind if I just pick random people to come up and help me?
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting ambushed here.
You're getting ambushed.
I mean, you told me that it was going to be a fair fight.
I know, but I'm just thinking, you've seen the Grateful Dead so many times. You've been around longer. I'm thinking maybe just someone.
All right, just bring it on. Bring on New York.
All right,
come on.
All right, I'm only gonna bring someone on if we have I don't know, someone who's written a book about Live Dead and John Brackett. Oh, is that John Brackett? Oh my gosh, John Brackett, come on up.
Oh my God.
I'm shocked. Couldn't have worked out any better.
John Brackett. Ogie Oglethorpe. Ogie Oglethorpe. Oh, no.
John, I can't tell you how glad I am that you're here. I thought I was going to have to go against Nick one-on-one.
Well, no, he came out last year when I had my book talk in San Francisco at City Lights, and I had to return the favor. So it's a great opportunity. Hope you had fun. Yeah.
John came from North Carolina to be here tonight. Thank you, John.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay, well, but this is really, Nick, this is really it, though. Just the two of us versus you. Actually, I'm thinking maybe one more person on my team. If it's up to you. You can say no.
Whatever. I've got the foil on. I'm ready to go.
Okay, thank you. And again, this is a long shot, but is there anyone here who's like mastered every single Jerry tone and every single guitar part? Holy shit, Jay Ferris is here. Jay, come on up. Oh my God, he brought his guitar too.
That's weird.
What could happen?
This is incredible. All right, here we're gonna get going. Actually, Nick, I'm just gonna go for it. Is it okay if every single person in here also is on our team?
Of course it's okay.
Thank God. Okay, well then.
Looks like a young crowd.
Yeah.
It's good skin. Let's go.
Thank you. So after this team of vendors up here decides on the year, I'm gonna ask the crowd if anyone is pretty sure we're wrong. And then you're gonna have to come up at that mic and convince us or not convince us. So I'll let you know when that time has come, but just for your radar. Okay, the bit is over. Steve, you can...
What about you? Gotta show me how to...
sorry.
Oh, boy.
We're now experiencing our first technical difficulty.
All right.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Look at that.
So we're gonna listen to...
You know what? I'm just gonna do it in the numbered order.
Okay, cool.
Because I don't want anybody to see the crib sheets. Okay.
But everyone make sure to let Nick write down his answer, and me and John will avert our eyes.
Okay. Yeah. Don't shout out.
Oh, last thing. Sorry, Steve.
Okay.
5 tracks. Who's ever lowest in aggregate over the 5 tracks between me and Nick one-on-one will win. And if you didn't know what the score was, we have this nice little thing. All right.
All right. We're doing it. All right. You sound check this, right?
We'll see.
Okay. Okay. You ready?
82.
Thanks, Steve. We have to avert our eyes, John.
Already playing the game. Okay.
Okay.
I gotta write it bigger so that people can see everything.
Okay. Thank you. John, you wrote a book about this. Talk to us.
I have no idea whatsoever. Tempo was quick. So trying to think of kind of what stood out to me.
Yeah.
Tempo was very fast. It was very bright. I heard the keyboards themselves were very bright and tinkly. That's as far as I've got, though, right now.
Jay, you've mastered every Jerry tone. What did you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one because
Here, Jerry.
So my personal years are in the 87 and the 89 realm. I can normally pick those out, and I was trying to will it to be one of those. But when I'm listening to Jerry's tone, there's a distorted quality to it that would lend itself to being from the earlier 80s, also possibly. So that's not much help, but I've got both of those in.
Jay, could you use one of your axes and recreate what you're talking about?
Okay,
because I can't hear that sort of thing.
So I'm hearing, hang on, well, yeah, if it were sort of an 82. So we have a, at that point in 82, if this, I don't, it may not be that, but if it is. he's using a Tiger at this point, and Tiger is just about to go through some conversions. And so at like December of 81 is the last time you'll hear and he's got a series and parallel switching at that point, and I couldn't really distinguish if it was parallel or split. So that's what I got so far from the Jerry Tone Camp.
John, given that new information, what?
Pretty helpful, right?
It seems obvious that we have to go with 80.
I mean, I know. Yeah, between later or earlier 80s, did either of you guys have a sort of hunch?
So, John, yeah, I it was a little thin. I don't know.
Yeah.
If anything, I would say maybe the recording quality itself puts it a little bit later.
I had that same thought.
I think it seems a little bit kind of tape.
They were clean, at least as a band. Yeah, it felt. And 86 isn't a particularly clean year to me, but 87 they come back and they're real pure and clean on the recordings, and that was also something I was feeling.
And 86 is a bad guest year because they not many performances.
Yep.
So I could go 87, John.
I would do it.
All right, the Avengers, are going to guess 1987. Nick.
Well, this is filed under protest. I couldn't really hear it, and then it got to the point before Jerry started playing again. It sounded mushy to me, and that bright, like noisy keyboard that took over seemed very Vincey to me. And Jerry just kind of disappeared at the moment of the peak where he was supposed to be doing his job, and he was kind of, where was he? Yeah. And it just was like, bleh. And then I decided I had to play the game because it could be any one of 4 or 5 years. So I went, having learned from the game teaches the game, as they say. And so I went with 1993.
Wow. All right.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
We either just lost or... Okay, so the man who chose that track was Steve. Steve, tell us what year it was.
That was the Grateful Dead from the Greek Theater in Berkeley, California on June 21st, 1986.
Oh! Sorry. I told you my standard deviation, man. I'm one away. So
Yeah, just give 10.
I'm fucked.
oh no.
We got time. There's no song.
I would like
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Marty. Fuck.
The coma was right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's a bad. It didn't sound like the Greek at all. I just have to say, it did not sound like the Greek.
it's a board feed.
Steve, so tell us about that track.
Okay, well, first of all, regarding the recording, it was a matrix of an audience and a soundboard. So that might explain some of the tonal qualities. But that was the very first bootleg. That was my first China Rider. Wow. And I got that from my company commander at military school when I was like 16. And he literally said, one of these days, you're really going to like this. He was right. But that's where that came from. Yeah.
How long did you last in the military?
Oh, I never made it to the military.
You got that tape.
Yeah, I got the tape. That's all I needed. That's what I got out of it. Yeah.
Before we
Weirdly, military school didn't reform me.
Next time, maybe.
Maybe. Much life.
Nick, before we move on to the next song.
I'm so bummed. It's like giving up 3 goals in the first 2 minutes. We didn't even get to fight. It's terrible.
It's not over yet, man.
That's right.
You recently wrote a nice piece in the New Yorker about the Sphere, and I'm wondering when you pitched that yourself, right? I'm sure.
I did, yeah. Yes, I did.
And when going in, what were you thinking? What were you looking for when you landed in Vegas?
Well, I kind of wanted to go, and I kind of didn't want to go, and it gave me an excuse to go, to do it for work. I was looking forward to seeing the Sphere. I had already developed certain opinions about Dead and Company that I was, ready to try to put aside because we report, you decide. But I had already kind of decided. But nonetheless, I was open to whatever may come, and it opened my eyes and ears. It was a great experience. I had a great time. Don't begrudge anyone having a great time, but there's something about it that's a little different, a little messed up. Vegas, corporate Dead.
Yeah.
But could be me, not them. I don't know. Or maybe not.
Some people on Reddit thought you were negative. How do you deal with with criticism like that?
Yeah. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Yeah, I think when someone actually I saw, because I don't do this often, but I did want to look up what people were saying. And I did see that someone called me a social climber. Like trying to climb my way into like Grateful Dead society by being negative by calling John Mayer twerpy. I can assure you that was not what I was thinking. I really, but nonetheless, I felt like when I went around afterwards, off camera, off Reddit, I've gotten a lot of sort of people like, yeah, man, you were right. So I feel vindicated.
Sure.
And it wasn't that negative, to be honest. I mean,
I didn't think so either.
It described me having a good time, which I did.
I think people are mostly just mad that you took that John wasn't shown as a deity of some sort.
Right.
John, what do you think Jerry would have thought of the Sphere?
I don't think he would have, actually. I just don't think he would have. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. So we are up by 6 points. I actually forgot to bring someone up, and next time we're going to bring someone up. 7. This is why Marty is the promoter.
Thank you, Marty. Jesus.
1 to 6. 4 songs left.
Ugh.
Let's hear
What a hole.
Steve's next choice.
I'm rattled. You're totally rattled.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Just change the volume up a little bit.
Louder.
Preemptively? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
We'd like it a little bit louder.
93 minus...
We're still doing math.
It is 7.
It was 86.
4, 3.
How many deadheads?
There's 7 deadheads on the bus.
Plus 3 is 7, right? Did everybody get dosed tonight? What do we do?
That's right.
It's 7, God damn it. Okay, here's second song. You guys get the idea. All right, let's give Nick a second here.
Oh, it just cut out when it got good.
Gave you chills, Jay?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, God.
And I'm a Stella guy.
Okay,
Not that Stella.
that was a lot of noise, I thought, Jay.
Noise. Oh, my God.
A lot of people playing.
I only got like 4 notes at the end to kind of maybe guess from. I'm also judging by the amount of noise in general across the whole mix. Jerry did have a period of time in the early mid 80s that was known as the loud years amongst the roadies, where he was experimenting with he had a 300 watt amplifier and moved to a 500 watt amp for a little bit.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that sounded like maybe something that could have been from the loud years was my only.
So what does that mean for you?
Yeah, we're talking in the 84, 83, 84 realm to me. That's low confidence, sadly.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what you thought.
John, do you have any thoughts?
Once again, no. It was very difficult for me to. Yeah, I got the tune, but yeah, there was so much noise. I couldn't tell whether it was from the recording itself or whether it was the hall or. So it really was difficult to place. You say 80s, but I'm going to go later.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 93.
Wow.
Did you hear two pianos by any chance? No.
I could hear nothing.
Yeah, well, okay, I heard Jerry sounded hoarse.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking pre-coma or like 93 or 92. Jay?
When was his strongest year vocally pre-coma in everybody's opinion? Because I feel like that 82 through 86 is kind of tough.
Yeah, well,
vocally.
But Brent,
and he sounded healthy there.
Yeah, and also Brent was pretty plinky in those days. So, and 81, 82. So it could have been 83, 84.
They were all jamming. I feel like the recording quality has refined a little bit by the time you hit the 90s, where things are just cleaner. You don't get that mess that we just got. And that was all the auditorium reverb. That was all of the band members just being loud as hell. But the tempo's not crazy fast, so it may not be early 80s. I'm rambling now.
Well, this is why we're not just playing the three of us versus Nick. We're playing all of New York City versus Nick. Does anyone think they know when we're fucking up? Yeah, come on up.
Yeah.
He knows the recording already. He has got it in his briefcase. I saw it earlier.
Ran up here.
I wish. I believe it's. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna go with 321.94. Richfield Coliseum. Wow. 94 with Stella Blue. Jerry couldn't play with it, so he would vocally solo out. There's another famous one with Santana that he does around that time. So that solo, that Stella Blue, where he goes out, instead of soloing on the guitar, he uses his voice as that. So I'm going with that one specifically.
Under protest.
Fellas, I'm sold.
May I say one thing?
Yeah.
Not to change from that, but my personal tone opinion is that sounds very specifically like the Twin, the Macintosh, and the JBLs, which he was not using by 94.
Can you replicate what you're saying?
So Jerry had a very consistent rig throughout his career. He starts with 3 twin reverbs, very similar to like 3 of these, but bigger. And as he scales down, he transitions to this very consistent setup that me and my friend Waldo lovingly refer to as the Twins. And it's 2 twin reverbs that feed a Macintosh power amplifier and JBLs. And there's a certain thickness that in 93, when he transitions to a no onstage sound anymore, there's a thin quality to that tone that people often confuse with a piezo pickup. And so it sounds too thick for it to be 94. But
could it be at any point in the 90s, or does it have to be pre-coma?
That would be my only request, would be if we say 94, maybe scooch that back to any point up to 93, it could be. So I
John?
totally 90s.
I said 93.
Yeah, I mean, if you say
Okay.
93, I think that's okay.
We're going to play the game, even though that was a very
That was a
compelling...
real, I don't
yeah.
want to, and I could be wrong.
No, but I think we should play the game. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Oh, yeah?
Let's do it.
Here you go, John.
No, go with 94. I mean, the way he came up
specific.
here.
It was confident.
Like
That's more
his
confident.
pants were on fire. Yeah. And it was like, it's 94.
He
It's
named
this
the month
goddamn
and the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Give
let's-
it 94.
Are you on board with that, Jay?
I'm on board with it. I just needed to say that I think it could be thicker tone from an earlier year. That's all.
Okay, respect. We're going to go 1994. Steve, tell us.
Wait, let me.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well, I too was persuaded, or almost persuaded, by the tone at the end. It was thicker and fatter and more ballsy than I expected in the choice that I'd already made. However, it was in 1994, if I recall correctly, and I went to one show in 94, where Jerry would occasionally do these big vocal, the sort of big deal thing. Like he was basically asleep, and then suddenly he'd be like, Stella Blue, Stella Blue. And you'd be like, oh my God, he's alive. Yeah. And that struck, because I've never heard that of Stella Blue sing out, coda like that. And I'm a Stella Blue guy. I love those mid-'80s, junky Stella Blues as much as anything. But this one struck me, and here we are. I mean, I'm out on a limb here, but I said 1994.
Steve.
But I can't make up ground against you guys because you got everybody. Could have gone with 86.
This is not fair, Nick.
That was Stella Blue, July 6th, 1995. Oh! From the Riverport Amphitheater in St. Louis, Missouri.
Right at the end.
Why'd you choose that one, Steve?
That is the last Stella Blue that Jerry Garcia sang, for starters. And to the gentleman that came up, you nailed it. He, that's what he could do, was he could sing, and so he did. And that particular version of it makes me cry every time, just because of that. He knew he couldn't play, so he sang. And, just beautiful.
It was like that So Many Roads,
Where yeah. Oh, my God. I cry every year to that one.
Around that time, the Dead were playing stadiums, and they started playing stadiums largely because of Touch of Grey. John, you are writing another book after your amazing Live Dead. If people haven't checked that out, oh my God, it's great. And you're writing a follow-up about how Touch of Grey changed the band. Can you tell us about the book?
Yeah. So it'll be out next year. It's called Touch of Grey, or How the Grateful Dead Became Pop Stars. And it really kind of chronicles that one song, and really describes how it kind of transformed the legacy of the band. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we would not be sitting here tonight if not for the success of that song. And I'm a historian, and I've done a lot of research with a lot of their business documents and things like that. And there's quite a bit of material related to this record and how it was made and produced and promoted. And it makes for a great story. And so that's what this book is going to be about. And the song was actually premiered here in 1980. Robert Hunter played a show here on August 16th, 1980, and that was the very first time that he played Touch of Grey. Wow. So,
Did it sound like Touch of Grey, like the actual melody?
The lyrics were essentially already in place, but he had his own melody. If anyone has ever heard that early version of his, it's pretty rudimentary in terms of the guitar parts. It lacks really kind of the full kind of harmonic kind of sense that you have for the Dead's version, but it's there. I mean, it's definitely the tune. So.
Cocaine Hangover, right? It's Cocaine Hangover.
What's that?
Cocaine Hangover. That's when it was written. That's what the song is about.
Oh, whatever it's about.
Yeah, it's Hunter's feeling real shitty, and this is his moment of sort of reckoning.
Right.
It's not a like yes. It's like ugh.
Wow. Do you think Touch of Grey cost Jerry a few years on the back end of his life?
It's hard to tell because I mean it really kept him going for 8 more years, essentially. But it really was at the cost of the band. I mean, basically by the end, as we all know, they were just touring to stay alive as an organization. And, at that point, you're kind of... There's another great quote from Hunter. He looks back at those pages for the book, and he says, knowing in retrospect now what had happened, sometimes I thought about tearing out those pages because it really did kind of change the entire trajectory of the group. Yeah, great story. It's a very good story.
Yeah, Nick, you saw them pre and post Touch of Grey. Did you prefer the pre?
No, I saw them. By the time I was seeing them, they were already playing Touch of Grey, and it had that upbeat sort of Bertha feel, and it was a great song, and we all loved it. And then when it became a pop song, and they would play it that particular way, almost the way they did on the album, which was never a thing that they would ever have done or had done, as far as I know. This song lost some of its shine. It was sort of a brighter, sort of Bertha-esque, brisk guitar song. Although I saw one that was one of the worst train wrecks I've ever seen. There's a Nassau 85. There's a Nassau 85 one. Yeah. Anyway, he blows every change. The whole band is playing a different song at the same time, and and that was the last one I saw before the Touch era.
Okay. Wow. I've noticed that tribute bands do not play Touch of Grey. Jay, you play a lot of Grateful Dead music. Is it not a fun song to play?
My only insight into my sit-ins with Grateful Dead tribute bands, it seems like there's amongst all musicians, a certain reluctance to play the number one A sides all the time, because then you're just sort of the cheesy band playing all the hits, and so there's a little bit of a clout thing if you play kind of cool deep cuts from my perspective. So there's probably some element of that.
But you can't, you just kind of went off in Tennessee Jed there. You can't do that with Touch of Grey, right?
You can have fun with it, though. You do have to play. I do have a weird fact. The only time I've ever covered Touch of Grey in a bar was also the only time I've ever watched a fight break out that slammed a dude through the door from the balcony. And so we were just, I will get by. And boom! And somebody goes flying across the bar, and we had to be like, stop, and then we picked it back up and played We Will Get By for the...
That was the cocaine.
It was exactly, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. But yeah, that's my insight.
Well, it is 8-2 after 2 songs. 3 songs left for Nick to make up ground.
I had it there.
You did good. We have a third song from Steve coming up, but real quick, I want to shout out Guest of the Year champ Todd Lamaskin, who was supposed to be here today. And he and his wife Lori, but they were on a flight and they were about to land at LaGuardia, and someone had some medical thing and they had to go somewhere else. Personally, my first thought was Nick's involved. Anything but have to compete against Todd, but shout out Todd. Thanks for trying to be here today. Steve, take it away. Let's give Nick a second. Oh. Jay's getting ready.
I'm hearing between 71 and 73 alligator years through and through.
Definitely one drummer.
Definitely one drummer.
Sorry.
72.
Why 72?
It's the snare drum sound.
Ooh. You are a drummer. John is a drummer, so.
Yeah, it was pretty tight. It was pretty pretty clean, and it sounds like around that time period for me in terms of how the drums were recorded.
How were the drums recorded in 70? 72 is obviously the best sounding year in most people's minds. Why was that from a Live Dead expert's perspective?
Well, I think if you're talking about Europe 72 tour, I mean, the people who were on the road recording that, Betty, Bob, I mean, the whole crew, But even around that time, they had the road crew they were making these tapes, and they were really concerned about the quality of the tapes. And so, yeah, you hear, better recording quality, whether it be a soundboard or, even the way it was mixed, too. Yeah.
Sure. Jay, what were you hearing? Can you play what you were hearing?
Yeah. All I heard is sort of this warm sound to Jerry's tone. It's definitely not from the Wolf era because I think he cleans it up by then. But there's this natural sort of passive dirt feel to that alligator. Kind of a papery quality to it, but the problem is there's
I love papery.
But you know what I mean, right? That's not. But there's a papery quality, and I feel like between 71 and 73, then you could use his playing. I heard a lot of like squirrely Jerry, like real bendy Jerry, which he had his cowboy country phase in 73. This sounds more like on the earlier side of 72, or more specifically, maybe a 71 to me. The text sounds like 72. I agree with you.
Okay. I like 72 too, for all those reasons. Does anyone in the crowd think we're wrong with 72 guess? Come on out. Come on down. All right. Yeah.
Wow. This is my boy. Wow, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Stabbing in the back.
He's my +1.
Can I just stand over here? Yes. Okay. I feel like it's later, just by a year or two, maybe 73, 74. And that's the way I just love to play this stuff. I play it all night long, all day long. So, that's my belief. It's a little bit later.
This is very hard for Nick. And also, Nick, as we were chatting before, he was telling me how much his friend knows. So I wouldn't mind splitting the difference at 73. John was kind of leaning that direction too. Or you think no way?
I think 70. I think I could eat these words, but I think Jerry's playing was more fast, plucky cowboy. He did cowboy bends, but this was a lot of like real. I don't know.
72.
I think 72 is
All
a
right.
safe bet.
I think we should go with Jay on this one. John, you cool with that? Yeah. All right, we're going 1972. Nick.
All right, well, I was trying to do eeny, meeny, miny, mo between 73 and 74. That's what you're talking about, because we used to listen to tapes together all the time. We listened to the same tapes at the same time way back in the dark days of, the 80s. To me, I decided on because of the slightly blary sound of the vocals, because I was expecting maybe a Fender Rhodes if it was 74, and it was that like Peanuts piano sound, bling bang bling, and then and it just had that sort of that the recording quality in 74 was more it was just more muscular, and there was more air in it, and this was a little less air in between the instruments. So I went with 1973.
Steve,
and
put us out of our misery.
Right. Okay, first of all, this round has really challenged my poker face because I tend to be emotive, so I was trying really hard to not do that. Because this was June 28th, 1974. From the Boston Garden in Boston, Massachusetts.
Wow.
The wall testing.
Steve, why did you choose that track?
It's been one of my favorites since I first started getting into the Dead, courtesy of David Gans. He played it on that show on the Dead Hour, and I taped it, and it was in my car forever, it seems like. So those bends.
Yep.
Those are
Bends
Legion.
made me think 74.
Those are Legion
the
of
way.
Mary bends. He was doing those on Let It Rock with. So that's kind of where. And if you go back and listen, he almost doesn't make one of them. Yeah, like he's going for it and he almost doesn't make it. He has to regroup.
Was that the year that the Boston Garden show, they had to split the wall in sort
That
of
was
half, right?
that was the Boston Music Hall in December of '73. So by the time they hit June of '74, but yeah, that's that whole second set is totally insane, and it's kind of yeah. So that's why.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I
Well, it's
cost
really
us.
hard for Nick to make up ground right now. It's 9-3. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. I was hoping for this and expecting not this. So thank you. And I have a question. Does anyone think they know the first verse of Truckin' word for word? If you do, I will buy you a beer. Yeah? Jay, would you play the opening verse? And would you like to come up and sing the first verse of Truckin'?
Let's do it.
Anybody? Anybody? All right. Give it up. Give it up.
Yeah. This is the other guy's brother. This is also my friend. At least he's not stabbing me in the back.
Okay, everyone take out your phones, or enough people, and if he gets even one word wrong, just groan.
Arrows of neon and flashing like Main Street. Chicago, New York, Detroit, it's all on the same street. Your typical city involved in your typical daydream.
Hang it up and see what
Hang it
tomorrow
up
brings.
and see what tomorrow brings.
Whoa! We'll count it.
Alice! Got to slap me.
That counts. We'll count it. A beer on my tab. Michael McClure's tab. Thank you. Wow.
I believe the first line is Truckin' got my chips cashed in.
But that's the chorus. That's not a verse.
Yeah, it's not the first line.
No, that's the chorus. They open with the chorus, the structure of the song. They do the chorus, and then they sing the first verse.
Most of the yeah.
So that was very technically correct. However, can't bring it home. Neither could Bobby, ever.
Wow, that was great. Thank you, Jay. I didn't even prep you for that.
No, I'm loving it.
All right, it's 9-3. Let's move to the fourth song, and then we'll get Trouble Junction back on stage for set 2.
All right, you ready?
Wake up, little Susie, wake up. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. The movie wasn't so hot. It didn't have much of a plot. We fell asleep, our goose is cooked, our reputation is shot. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Well, what are you gonna tell your mama? What are you gonna tell your pop? What are you gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie?
All right, let's give Nick a second.
Well, I'm done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that was like early. That's why I get paid the big bucks. Yeah, I'm willing to go like 67 or something. Jay?
Oh, God, man. Yeah, Steve did that to me because he knew I couldn't do it by Jerry Tone, the acoustic. Yeah, that would be my only hunch. I feel like I hear a youthful quality to Bobby's voice that I feel like you can really hear the different tones of his voice, and it sounds like a real young Bobby to me, which would put us at 67-ish, 67. 67 to 68. 67.
But it was a good tape. John, when did we get a tape sounding that good?
It depends on where that tape is from. I'm thinking it might be a little bit later. I'm thinking just it sounds a little bit like Bear's Choice kind of era.
It's true.
Don't look at me. You're the enemy.
Yeah, do we know when they did the acoustic experimentation? I feel like 67 was more of an electric year, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they were doing the acoustic sets by 70.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
So we could be looking at a 69.
But did you hear TC there?
No. I don't think so.
I want to say 70.
70.
Was he out by 70?
For most of 70.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you might have caught like January or something. 70.
When were the Bear's Choice sessions from? When would 70?
70? I like that.
Okay, we're going to go with 1970. Does anyone in the crowd think we're wrong and want to come up and steer us in the right direction? I'm seeing a lot of shaking of the heads.
Ooh.
Knobs says 70. Marty, you're the one that said 70. Why don't you come up and tell us why? Give it for Marty, everyone. He put this all together.
Marty.
Making this all possible.
Marty, why 70?
So definitely in the 70s, in the beginning of the year, through the college tour, they were doing acoustic electric sets. Wake Up Little Susie was definitely a song that they played quite a bit in those times. So I would say it's definitely within that time frame. I would, put it in one of the college shows, even, it sounds like to me, just from the sound of it.
Thank you, Marty. All right. You guys ready to lock it in? All right, 1970. Nick.
What Marty said. 1970.
Wow. Steve.
You're all right. It was February 14th, 1970, from Bill Graham's Fillmore East, here in New York City.
I would have come here in a casket, but the damn thing broke.
Steve, why'd you choose that track? It was a killer.
Because I love it. I got Bear's Choice really early on in my deaddom, and it took me a few years to get into the Smokestack Lightning. Come to appreciate it, but that particular track, I just fell in love with it. The exuberance. Just the fun factors off the charts, and I was just starting to play a little guitar, and I that's how I learned. That was my first song. Listening to that track was how I learned how to play the guitar. So, yeah, love it.
Were they letting people tape the Dead around then?
They weren't letting, but people were doing it. Yeah, yeah. No.
So that was like the chord snipping years.
Yeah, Cutler and everybody else were still kind of at that time going around, and if it was pretty visible, they would put a halt to it. Yeah.
Were they worried about narky accusations?
That I don't know about at the time. I think they were protecting their brand at that. They were really concerned about bootlegging at that point, and that was a way to kind of control it. Yeah, they thought. Yeah. They had no idea at the time that people were just sharing these shows. That the majority of people were sharing these tapes. That would take a couple of years later before that would kind of pop up for them. But
Nick, when you wrote one of the great piece about Deadheads called Deadheads. Deadhead. Yes. Yeah, you included how much of taping is part of the Dead mythology in your mind? Like how much did you dedicate to taping in that article, which I read? I forget.
Well, it was, the tapes were the only way to get the music back in the day. I mean, I think we all started in that era listening to the live albums and the albums, but the live albums in particular are often sort of under considered. Reckoning, Dead Set, Europe 72, Live Dead, those were integral to everybody's education. But then all we had was the tapes for Live Dead, and so that's what we started listening to. And I was not ever a tape trader. I wasn't sending tapes away, but we were all a bunch of teenagers sharing tapes. We would. You just stole tapes. But you stole my tapes.
Tape trader, tape thief.
Yeah, I have some of their tapes still, and none of my own. So what the fuck? Just saying. But the tapes were essential to understanding the difference between years, between different eras, between approaches. You know, each one had its own stink to it, and that was part of the fun.
Do you still listen to tapes?
No, I don't. I have like 6 tapes left, and you know, various car thefts and break-ins, and they're all the Warren Brothers tapes over here. But no, you know, the internet's amazing. It comes with it's obviously evil in other ways, but the best thing about it to me has been, you know, Grateful Dead all the time.
Yeah, listening all kinds.
Jay, the thing about you is you're kind of like this wonderkin deadhead. Have you ever gone back and listened to the tapes?
So this is I sadly embarked on a project to convert. My dad was a taper from like 81 to tail end of 83, 84 a little bit, and then he went and tried to do a normal non-deadhead life, but he loved it when he was involved. And I tried to start transferring his and realized that I didn't have, 8 hours to be just sitting there and hitting record and monitoring the computer. So apparently amongst the young kiddos, like I had a 13-year-old message me that's like, hey, I'm really into taping and tape trading. I'd love to do this work for you. So the next generation, Gen Alpha, apparently getting back into cassette tapes if anybody needs digitizers.
Yeah, well, this actual live show right now is being taped by the great Brendan. Thank you very much. He's taping the podcast and the Trouble Junction set, so taping is alive and well.
It's alive and well.
All right, we got one more song. Nick needs us to make a huge mistake. Let's hear it.
I mean, I have been keeping pace, I will say.
Yes.
After the initial rat fuck of the first one.
The fifth and final song.
He's getting me back. He's getting me back.
Wow. Steve.
Give me a moment, guys, because I actually know that one cold. I just can't remember from where. It's like a dream I had. So just give me a moment. You guys have your conversation about something else. Give me a moment.
Jay, what's next for Jerry Tone's store?
I've unexpectedly found myself spending a lot of my time modding guitars for people, and it's been a wonderful experience. And so I'm honing my skills doing that for folks, and continuing to sort of push the boundary of I don't like to go too far down the rabbit hole of like what would Jerry have done. But I'm living in a space where I'm like, well, cool. He had the best clean tone ever. What might he have done with dirt or modeling technology as tech comes along? Just kind of, that's the time machine board I've got here is designed to simulate sort of every single era of gear that he used.
Big things.
Yeah, it's fun. This is taking nerd puzzles to the extreme.
I think we need one more minute here.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jerry Tone, what are we thinking from Jerry's Tone?
Well, I would like to point out that I maybe could be wrong, but I think this is somewhat a bit of a revenge pick for my 83 space submission that Steve correctly guessed. But it was very annoying. My dad did an 83 tape, and it was annoying of me to choose this as the segment, but I chose just about the weirdest 30 seconds I could find, and he nailed it out of the gate. It was 83 space. This sounded rougher around the edges, and it sounded like Jerry had been doing some Little Red Rooster slide work earlier in the evening. I heard a couple of those licks, and it felt real 81, 82. 82 really was the year that came to mind. but I was not paying attention to the other instruments or elements that may indicate otherwise. So that's my pretty biased, narrow focus guess.
John, do you have an inkling?
I think it's 83 just because I remember you saying that you binged on 83 spaces at one time, and I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard in my life. So I'm just going to say 83.
Okay, I'm going to play the curator right here, and I talk about 83 Space a lot with Steve, and I don't think
Love
he
him.
would
Love
I
him.
don't think he would give me an 83 Space. And shout out Jack, the 83 Space fanatic, by the way, who got Steve into 83 Space, and then eventually me. I think it's not 83. I'd be very surprised if it was 83. I would say so 82 maybe or something, 81.
It's loud and it's dirty, and I don't know anything about the beam stuff going on. Do we know when that came into the picture? Because it felt very like that sounded like a pretty integral element in that recording.
Could it be 84? That was a little grungier than 82.
Was that a 6? We're getting some audience help, but
okay.
You're saying beam came in 87?
Okay, was it in the beam came in 87?
Because that sounded like a beam, right? Yeah. I mean, am I allowed to ask?
No.
No. Okay, we gotta wait. Okay.
We have to decide, and then someone can come up and help us.
Okay.
All right, let's say 86, 87, 86. I think Steve would choose the same year twice.
I could see that. I
Okay.
like that.
Okay,
I like
let's
that.
say 86. Does anyone think we're wrong in 86? Come on up, Rich. Rich. Oh!
Yeah.
Rich was a contestant on Jay's
what do you got?
episode.
What do you got, Rich?
As the only person in the room who got off the show for Morgantown 83 Space, Steve got me. I don't think that he would do that. And I don't know, because this is very risky, because you could lose the entire game. But I'll just throw out there the idea of that, is there any within the realm of possibilities that it's within the feedback family of 1969, 68-ish?
You're
I just throw it out there. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, boy.
I don't know anything about the beam. I don't know anything about anything, but I'm just saying.
Rich, everyone. Rich. Thank you, Rich. Okay. You think it's not the 60s?
I like the bravery, but yeah, the tech-wise, I don't think those frequencies were happening quite at that level. And the pristine nature to the recording, that sounded like a clean space, but everybody instrument-wise was dirty, which indicates to me early mid 80s. I like 86. I like 85.
John, 86?
I'll go with 86.
Okay. We are going to say 86. Nick.
Well, the sound definitely sounds like something in the 80s, that sort of the power and the warmth of it. And yet I can't shake the sense that I know it, and it's actually more canonical for me than anything like that. I still can't quite place it. But because I have to make up a lot of points, and because I hope that I'm right, I chose 1972, thinking of one of those Dark Stars where they really stretch out and where he plays the slide, and there's a little bell sound in there, which is very not so. Either I go down in flames, or
you win by 12,
or. So let's go. Let's see what happened here.
All right, everyone. Here it is, the whole game. Steve, tell us the year.
That was Dark Star, August 1st, 1973.
Unbelievable. Congrats, Nick Paumgarten. You beat all of New York.
That's amazing.
Like the Eagles.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you again, Marty. Thank you all for coming out. Second set of Trouble Junction starts soon. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. That was great.
Let's hear from Mike and the gang with Guest of the Year. What a great ending. You couldn't write that in a movie.
Schools for us to learn. Better jobs, better homes, schools for us to learn. Better jobs, better homes, schools for us to learn. Better jobs, better homes.
Now, if you'd like to see who's performing this week at the bitter end, check out their website.